The great chamber of the Galactic Empire was filled with golden light. High above, curved walls glowed softly, and the round table in the center shimmered like liquid metal. Around it sat the rulers of the galaxy, tall, thin beings with silver eyes and proud faces. Each came from a different world. Each had power beyond imagination. They had gathered for one reason: the human envoy. For decades, the word human had become nothing more than a whisper among them. Earth was gone, burned after the Great Cleansing War. The Empire had erased the last human colonies years ago. Or so they believed. But now a transmission had arrived at the council gates, a human ship requesting an audience. A single ship, old and scarred, yet carrying a diplomatic code from the long-dead planet Earth. The guards outside the chamber looked nervous as the golden doors opened. A single figure walked in, slow and calm. He was human. Shorter than most alien races, his face scarred but his eyes steady. He wore a dark uniform, plain, with a small patch on his shoulder, a blue circle with white stars, the old symbol of Earth United Command. The room went silent. No one spoke. The air itself felt heavier. The Emperor sat at the far end of the chamber, his throne raised higher than the others. His body was covered in gold armor, his voice deep and sharp like metal. "So," he said, leaning forward, "the ghost of Earth finally walks again." The human envoy stopped in the center of the hall. He didn't bow. He didn't tremble. "I came because you asked for peace," he said quietly. The Emperor smiled. "Peace? Humanity doesn't exist. You are a remnant, a dying ember pretending to be fire." A few alien counselors chuckled. Others watched with interest. They wanted to see how the human would react, but the envoy simply looked around the table, studying each of them one by one. Then he said, "You summoned me here to speak, so listen carefully. I'm not here to beg. I'm not here to kneel. I'm here to remind you what you started." The laughter stopped. The council exchanged confused glances. The Emperor frowned. "Started?" he repeated. "We ended your kind. The war was over." The human took a step forward. "No," he said softly. "You ended cities. You ended lives. But not us." For a moment, no one moved. The council chamber's light flickered faintly as if reacting to the tension. One of the alien admirals stood up, his voice cold and dismissive. "Your species attacked first. Earth built weapons against the Empire. We only acted to protect the galaxy." The envoy turned his gaze toward the admiral. "You bombed hospitals," he said. "You called it protection." He raised a small device from his belt. A hologram flickered into life. Glowing images projected above the table. They showed burning cities, screaming families, collapsing towers. The counselors shifted uncomfortably as they watched. "These are your peace missions," the envoy said quietly. "You invaded our home." The Emperor waved his hand. "Enough theatrics. The war was justified. Humanity was unstable, violent, uncontrollable. We brought order." The envoy tilted his head slightly, his voice calm but sharp like a blade. "You brought extinction," he said, "and you celebrated it." The room went cold. Even the Emperor's golden armor seemed to dim. Then the envoy smiled. Not kindly, but like someone who knew something they didn't. "You think Earth is gone," he said. "You think the ashes mean victory. But the stars have long memories. And so do we." The Emperor's voice rose, irritated now. "Your kind is finished, human. You are a fossil trying to speak to gods." The envoy met his eyes and whispered, "Then why am I standing here?" Silence filled the chamber again. Every counselor could hear the faint hum of the golden lights above. Something about this human felt different, too confident, too calm. He didn't speak like a survivor. He spoke like someone who had already won. One of the younger alien delegates leaned forward and asked carefully, "What do you want, human?" The envoy's eyes hardened. "Justice," he said, "and truth. The galaxy needs to know who fired first, who sent fleets into our skies while we were still offering peace." The Emperor smirked. "So you want to tell old stories? Then tell them to the dead, because soon you will join them." The human didn't react. He simply placed a small silver disc on the table. A pulse of light ran through it. Suddenly the hologram changed. It showed something new. A planet. Blue, glowing, alive. Earth, the counselors gasped. The Emperor stood from his throne, his golden eyes wide. "Impossible. That world is gone." The envoy's voice was calm. You destroyed one version of it, but we rebuilt another. The hologram zoomed in, showing massive orbital rings, fleets in formation, shining cities restored. The Empire's intelligence had never reported such a thing. The envoy looked straight at the Emperor. You wanted the end of humanity, he said. But you only gave us purpose. No one spoke. Even the sound of breathing seemed too loud. The envoy turned and began walking toward the exit. Guards moved slightly, unsure if they should stop him. The Emperor shouted, You think this changes anything? You're still outnumbered. The Empire will crush your false home again. The human paused at the door. Without turning, he said quietly, Then come. But this time, we'll be waiting. And he left. The golden doors closed behind him, leaving the council in silence. For the first time in centuries, fear crept through the hearts of the Empire's rulers, because deep inside they all felt it. Humanity had returned. And this time it wasn't for peace. The council chamber remained silent long after the human envoy left. The golden light dimmed and the great doors sealed shut with a deep echo. For the first time in decades, fear had entered the Empire's most sacred hall. The Emperor's voice finally broke the silence. Find out everything, he ordered coldly. Who sent him? Where did he come from? Admirals and intelligence officers rushed out. Within minutes, the hollow screens across the chamber filled with scattered reports, transmissions, border patrol logs, and records of ancient battles. But all the data ended the same way. Humanity was gone, or so they thought. Far away, the human envoy sat inside his small transport ship, orbiting the imperial capital. Through the window, he could see the endless glow of alien cities covering the planet below. Rivers of light, a world that never slept. He closed his eyes for a moment, remembering another world that once shined the same way. Earth. He opened his wrist device. A message blinked on the small blue screen. Phase 1 complete. Await signal from command. He smiled faintly. They still don't understand, he whispered. Meanwhile, inside the council chamber, the Emperor had summoned his oldest advisor, a tall, gray-skinned alien named Velkar. He had fought in the First Solar War against humans long ago. His face carried scars and his eyes were tired. Tell me, the Emperor said, was humanity truly destroyed? Velkar hesitated. We crushed their armies. Their fleets burned. But humans, they are not like others. The Emperor frowned. Explain. They fight long after the war is lost, Velkar said quietly. When their cities fall, they fight from the ruins. When their world burns, they build in the ashes. The Emperor's golden eyes narrowed. Then they built again? Velkar nodded slowly. If even one human survived, I believe they never stopped. The scene shifted to the human ship again. The envoy opened a metallic case beside him. Inside were holographic archives, memories of Earth before the war. Children playing under blue skies, soldiers boarding ships, scientists promising peace. Each image carried pain, but also defiance. He tapped one file labeled Treaty of Soul. The hologram changed to an image of the old Galactic Peace Conference, when humanity had once trusted the Empire. He remembered that day clearly. Earth had offered peace after the First Solar War. In return, the Empire promised safety and respect for all human colonies. The treaty was signed on the moon, words of hope engraved in both human and alien script. But months later, the skies burned. The Empire attacked Mars first, calling it a security operation. Then came the destruction of Jupiter's moons and finally Earth itself. The humans had been betrayed. The envoy clenched his fists. His family had lived in one of those colonies. He looked out at the stars. We believed your promises once, he said softly. Never again. Back in the chamber, the council members argued loudly. One shouted, we cannot allow humans to rise again. Another protested, perhaps we can still make peace. Velkar interrupted them. Peace? He said grimly. They came here to show us Earth is alive. That is not peace. That is a warning. The Emperor slammed his hand on the table. Then we crushed them again. This time completely, but deep down even he wasn't sure. That night, the Council's intelligence network picked up strange signals near the outer rim. Static bursts, coded transmissions in an old human frequency. At first they ignored it, assuming it was interference. But then one of the officers shouted, Sir, we found a pattern. The code repeated one phrase, Home remembers. The Emperor froze. Trace it, he commanded. We can't, the officer replied. It's moving. From system to system. Almost as if ships are relaying it. The Emperor leaned forward. Ships? What ships? The officer swallowed hard. Unknown. They match no Empire design. The next morning, the human envoy was summoned again, this time not by request but by order. Imperial guards met his ship and escorted him back to the Golden Chamber. He entered calmly. The Emperor stared down from his throne, anger on his face. You showed us lies, the Emperor barked. We destroyed your world. I saw it myself, the envoy didn't flinch. You saw what you wanted to see, he said. The Emperor rose. Why return now? What do you gain by showing us ghosts? The human's eyes were cold. Because ghosts remember, and they're coming. The council erupted in confusion. Coming? What do you mean? The envoy placed a small crystal device on the table. This, he said, is the first truth you buried. The device projected a hologram of the Treaty of Sol, with the Empire's royal signature glowing in gold. Then the image shifted to a secret transmission, the Empire's own generals planning the betrayal. The council gasped. Their own emperor had ordered the first attack. You called it peace, the envoy said. But it was a trap. You started the war. You slaughtered billions, then blamed us for fighting back. The emperor's face turned pale with fury. You dare accuse me? The human cut him off sharply. I don't accuse. I prove. He pressed another button and the hologram expanded, showing a map of the galaxy with dozens of red marks. These, he said, are the colonies you burned. Every one of them rebuilt in secret. Every one of them waiting. The councilors stared in disbelief. That's impossible, one whispered. The human smiled faintly. You never checked the ashes. Guards stepped forward, ready to seize him, but the emperor raised his hand. No, he said slowly. Let him speak. The envoy looked around the hall. You think this is the end, he said, but it's only the beginning. Humanity doesn't die. It evolves. He turned toward the golden doors again. And now, he said quietly, you'll see what evolution looks like. Then he left the chamber once more, leaving behind silence and fear. For the first time, the mighty Galactic Empire felt uncertain, because if the human's words were true, then somewhere out there, the broken treaty was about to be avenged. The next sunrise over the imperial capital was not golden. It was red. From the sky's edge, strange signals filled the communication grid, faint rhythmic pulses that no one could trace. Each pulse repeated the same three words, we are returning. Inside the council chamber, the Emperor's advisors gathered in panic. The lights flickered, screens blinked with endless alerts, and distant alarms echoed through the towers outside. The Emperor stood towering over the others. Explain, he barked. An admiral saluted nervously. My lord, unidentified fleets have appeared near the Orion border. They match no known registry. Not pirate, not trade, not imperial. How many? The admiral hesitated. We don't know. The readings keep shifting, as if the ships are cloaked. They appear and disappear like ghosts. The Emperor narrowed his eyes. Ghosts don't destroy satellites, Admiral. Ships do. He turned toward the holographic map of the galaxy. Entire sectors glowed red. Find out who they are. Far away, in the dark void beyond the rim, a fleet of black warships moved silently through the stars. Each ship was covered in strange armor, matte, angular, invisible against the vacuum. No energy trails. No beacons. Only silence. Inside one of the ships, Commander Lyra Hale stood at the observation deck, watching the stars slip by. Her eyes glowed faintly under the dim blue light of the bridge. How's the link with the envoy? She asked. A technician replied, transmission received. The message was delivered. The council has seen the truth, Lyra nodded. Then the next phase begins. Behind her, rows of human officers in dark uniforms worked quietly. Their ships bore a single emblem, a silver phoenix rising from flames. It was the mark of the Ghost Fleet, the hidden armada built in exile by the survivors of Earth. Back in the Empire's capital, panic spread like wildfire. Civilian networks began to report dark ships appearing in remote colonies, mining worlds, outposts, even near supply lines. Every encounter ended the same way. Contact lost. In one transmission, an alien captain shouted, unknown vessel approaching, no ID, wait, and then static. Hours later, only debris remained. The council demanded answers. Who are they, rebels? Mercenaries. Velkar, the old advisor, stood quietly. No, he said at last. They are human. The room froze. The Emperor slammed his fist against the table. Impossible! Humanity cannot build fleets. Velkar looked at him. You burned their home. You destroyed their colonies. Did you ever ask what happened to the ones you missed? Meanwhile, the human envoy sat in his ship, orbiting a dead moon near Imperial space. The faint hum of engines echoed softly as he watched the transmission feed. The Empire in chaos, the Council shouting, the fear spreading. A voice came through his communicator. Envoy, this is Fleet Command. Operation Ghostlight is underway. The envoy smiled faintly. Understood. Keep them guessing. He closed his eyes and whispered, For Earth. In the Imperial Command Center, fleet admirals worked frantically. We've lost contact with outposts in 6 sectors. Another shouted. Our scouts detected massive energy spikes, gravitational distortions near the nebula belt. The Emperor ordered, Show me. The main screen zoomed in. The nebula glowed purple and blue, lightning flashing within. Then slowly shadows emerged from the mist, hundreds of them. At first, the aliens thought they were asteroids. Then lights flickered on their hulls, lines of blue and white forming shapes. Words, UN, United Earth Navy. The Emperor's breath caught. No, the Admiral whispered. They're broadcasting an old human code, sir. The Emperor shouted, Get me the human envoy. Now! Moments later, the envoy's hologram appeared before the council, calm as ever, hands behind his back. The Emperor's voice thundered, What have you done? The envoy tilted his head slightly. You wanted peace. We brought truth. Those ships are the ghosts you made, the envoy said. For every city you burned, we built a ship. For every child you buried, we forged a cannon. You called us extinct. We called it preparation. The council chamber erupted with anger. One alien shouted, You dare threaten the Empire? The envoy's eyes glowed faintly blue. No, he said. We remind you. He projected a hologram, a galaxy map showing dozens of red lines spreading from hidden corners of space. These, he said, are not attacks. These are returns. You invaded our home. Now we visit yours. In the nebula, the Ghost Fleet moved as one. Thousands of ships formed a silent formation. No signals, no noise. Just purpose, their flagships, the Dawn Reclaimer and the Ark of Sol, led the front. Each was larger than anything the Empire had ever built. Inside the Reclaimer, Commander Hale looked at her crew. Remember, she said, they think we're monsters. Let them see what monsters they made. Her second officer asked, Orders, ma'am? Hold fire, she said. Let the message reach them first. Back in the council, the Emperor turned to the envoy. What message? He hissed. The envoy smiled coldly. This one. Outside the Imperial capital, every screen, every skyport, every ship received a transmission. A human voice echoed across the galaxy. This is Earth Command. You broke the treaty. You burned our skies. Now we take back the stars you stole. The broadcast repeated again and again. Billions heard it. Entire planets stopped their work to listen. The Empire's propaganda networks tried to block it, but the signal was too strong. Too old, too human. In the council, Velkar whispered. It has begun. The Emperor turned to the envoy, trembling with rage. You think you can win? You think your kind can challenge the Empire? The envoy looked him dead in the eyes. We don't think. We know. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. You spent centuries teaching the galaxy to fear you. Now it's your turn. He pressed a small button on his wrist. Outside, the sky darkened as the first human ships entered orbit. Sleek, black, and silent. Their engines glowed faint blue, like ghosts come to life. The human envoy looked at the Emperor one last time and said, The Ghost Fleet has arrived, and we don't vanish this time. The golden chamber shook as alarms roared and dread filled every alien heart, because the galaxy finally understood. Humanity was never gone. Humanity was waiting. The once glorious capital of the Galactic Empire no longer slept. The skies above shimmered with red alarms, and patrol ships rushed through the clouds like fireflies in panic. Every street, every broadcast, every official feed carried the same word: humanity. The Empire had ruled for thousands of years. No one had ever dared challenge it. But now the most feared word in the galaxy was spoken again, and it belonged to a species everyone thought extinct. Inside the Imperial Command Fortress, the Emperor sat still on his golden throne, staring at the holographic map that showed entire sectors going dark, fleets destroyed, colonies silenced. Trade routes gone, he whispered almost to himself. How? How can this be? Velkar, the old advisor, stood beside him. You made them desperate, he said quietly. And desperate beings are the most dangerous. The Emperor glared at him. They were primitive. We erased their worlds. We burned their skies. Velkar nodded slowly. And they learned from it. Across the room, admirals shouted over one another. We've lost contact with 5 fleets. Outposts are reporting human ships vanishing and reappearing out of nowhere. Even our defense satellites are being jammed. The Emperor slammed his fist on the table. Then fight back. An admiral swallowed hard. We can't lock onto them, sir. They're ships, they don't show up on scanners. Velkar murmured. The Ghost Fleet. The Emperor turned sharply. You knew about this? Velkar looked tired. I heard rumors from the border colonies. Ships that appeared in the dark, destroyed pirate fleets, then vanished again. We thought it was myth, the Emperor growled. Then humanity turned their myth into a weapon. Meanwhile, out in the endless dark of space, the Ghost Fleet was moving again. Commander Lyra Hale stood before her crew aboard the Ark of Sol, the largest ship ever built by human hands. Its black armor shimmered faintly under the light of distant stars. The bridge was silent except for the hum of power cores beneath the deck. Enemy fleets are scattered, her tactical officer reported. They're trying to regroup near the Empire's inner ring. Lyra nodded. Let them. The longer they gather, the more afraid they become. Another officer smiled. The Emperor must be losing sleep. Lyra stared at the stars. Good. Let him remember what he created. She opened a transmission channel. This is Commander Hale to all Ghost Fleet units. Phase 2 begins now. No civilians. No planets. Only their pride. Across the void, hundreds of human ships acknowledged the order. Engines flared blue, then vanished into hyperspace. Back in the capital, fear spread faster than light. Citizens whispered in streets, wondering if humans were real or just another story to keep them loyal. One young alien reporter tried to calm his viewers on the news feed. There is no proof humans exist, he said with a trembling voice. These are just attacks by rebels. A moment later, the screen behind him glitched and the reporter froze. The news feed changed to a human broadcast. This is Earth Command. The galaxy is watching. We do not seek war, but we will finish what you started. Then it faded to black. The entire city fell silent. Inside the council chamber, the Emperor faced the human envoy once again. Guards surrounded him, weapons aimed at his chest. Yet the envoy looked completely calm. You're losing control, the Emperor said. Your fleet hides in shadows, cowards. The envoy's voice was quiet but cold. Cowards? You attacked us from orbit. You called it peace. We learned from the best. The Emperor rose from his throne, his golden robes flowing like fire. Do you know what you're doing? You're awakening the full power of the Empire. The envoy looked up at him. Then wake it. Let's see if your gods bleed. The guard stepped closer. We should execute him now, one whispered. The Emperor hesitated. No, let him watch his fleet burn first. But the envoy smiled. You won't get the chance. He pressed a small command on his wrist. The holographic walls around the chamber flickered, and suddenly a live feed appeared. It was the Empire's first defense line, thousands of ships guarding the heart of the galaxy. Now all of them were burning. On screen, the Ghost Fleet moved like shadows through fire. Human warships tore through the Imperial Armada with precision strikes, silent, coordinated, ruthless. Every time the Empire fired, the humans vanished. Every time they regrouped, the humans reappeared behind them. They're using dark matter drives, an Imperial Admiral whispered, terrified. That technology was banned. The envoy said calmly, you banned it. We mastered it. The Emperor's face turned pale. How many ships do you have? The envoy's eyes glowed faint blue. Enough. The chamber shook violently as distant thunder echoed from above. The planet's orbital defenses were under attack now. Velkar turned to the Emperor. You must call for retreat. Retreat? I am the Empire. The Emperor roared. Velkar shook his head. Then the Empire will die with you. The Emperor's rage broke. "They cannot destroy us all." The envoy looked at him one last time. "You're right," he said softly. "We don't need to. We only need you to remember." He turned away as guards tried to seize him, but a sudden blinding light filled the chamber. The entire capital trembled. Outside, the sky split open. Dozens of human ships appeared in low orbit, surrounding the planet like black ghosts. Their formation was perfect, silent, disciplined, unstoppable. The lead ship sent one final transmission across every Imperial frequency. "We do not conquer. We correct." As the sky burned gold and red, the people of the Empire stared upward in horror. For the first time, they understood the truth. Humanity had not just returned. Humanity had evolved, and this time, fear belonged to the Empire. The galaxy had gone silent. For the first time in thousands of years, the Empire's mighty fleets no longer roamed the stars. Smoke and broken ships drifted through space. The proud banners of the Empire now just debris against the black void. The Council was shattered. Worlds that once bowed to the Emperor now whispered in fear, asking the same question: who are the humans now? Deep inside the ruins of an old communication relay, a faint blue signal pulsed. It was encrypted with an ancient human code, one the Empire's systems couldn't decode. A young alien technician stared at the signal and whispered, "Sir, it's coming from the Sol system." The admiral beside him frowned. "That's impossible. The Sol system is dead," but the signal grew stronger, forming a single message that repeated again and again. "We have returned." Far beyond the Empire's reach, in the quiet corner of the galaxy, the Sol system awakened. The sun burned brighter now, surrounded by enormous metallic rings that glowed like halos. Around Earth, colossal structures floated, shining like mirrors. Defense rings, orbital cities, and massive platforms circled the blue planet like guardians. The scars of war were gone. The oceans sparkled. The continents shined with light. Humanity had rebuilt its home, and above the clouds hovered a single, titanic ship, a fortress the size of a moon. It was called the Ark of Humanity. Inside the Ark, the command deck hummed with quiet strength. Humans in black uniforms worked across glowing consoles. Every movement was precise, calm, and focused. At the center stood Commander Lyra Hale, gazing at the Earth through a wide observation window. Her reflection showed tired eyes that had seen destruction, exile, and rebirth. A young officer approached. "Ma'am," he said softly, "the Council's last fleet has fallen. The Empire's capital is silent." Lyra didn't smile. "And Earth?" "Stable," he replied. "The planet's shield grid is fully charged. Atmospheric repair is complete. Civilian colonies are expanding on Mars and Titan." Lyra placed a hand against the glass. "We kept our promise," she said quietly. "We came home." Elsewhere in the halls of the Ark, the human envoy walked through a corridor lined with holographic panels. Each panel displayed an image of Earth during its darkest days. The burning cities, the empty skies, the falling towers. He stopped at one showing his own city, London, turned to dust decades ago. A small message was written below it. "Never forget," he whispered. "We didn't." In orbit around the Empire's border, alien refugees stared at the transmissions coming from the Sol system. The humans were broadcasting again, but not threats, not war declarations. Instead, they sent a signal of truth. The message showed Earth as it was now, alive, beautiful, glowing like a jewel in space. A voice spoke across every frequency, calm and firm. "This is Earth Command. We are not your enemies. We are your reminder." Billions across the galaxy watched in silence. Some cried. Some trembled. Many couldn't believe it, because they all remembered the Empire's propaganda, that Earth had been wiped out, its people gone forever. But the truth now floated before their eyes. Humanity lived. Humanity thrived. Inside the shattered remains of the Imperial capital, Emperor Kale sat in darkness. His empire was collapsing. Fleets gone. Worlds rebelling. His council dead. Only Velkar, the old advisor, remained by his side. "They rebuilt everything," the Emperor said bitterly. "Even their world." Velkar nodded. "You taught them how?" The Emperor looked up slowly. "What do you mean?" You showed them fear, Velkar said, and they learned how to survive it. The Emperor turned away. So this is my legacy, a galaxy ruled by ghosts. Velkar shook his head. No, by humans. Back on the Ark, the envoy entered the command deck. Lyra turned to him. It's done, she said. The Empire is broken. He nodded. Broken, but not gone. She frowned. You still pity them? The envoy looked out toward the stars. No, but someone has to show them what rebuilding means. He activated a small hologram on the console. It showed the Earth, rotating slowly. Then he pressed another button, and thousands of smaller dots appeared across the map. Human colonies, outposts, stations, all connected through light. This, he said, is our new frontier. Not for conquest, for memory. Lyra studied him. Do you think they'll ever forgive us? He shook his head. It's not forgiveness we seek. It's understanding. They thought we were gone. Now they must live knowing we're still here. Suddenly, the radar officer shouted, Incoming transmission from the outer sectors. Lyra turned. From where? The officer hesitated. From the Empire's surviving fleet. They're asking for... He paused. Contact. The bridge went silent. Every human in the room froze. The envoy exchanged glances with Lyra. Put it through. A hologram flickered into life. It showed an alien admiral, wounded and exhausted, standing inside a damaged warship. His golden armor was broken, his voice trembling. We surrender, the alien said softly. The Emperor is gone. The Empire is yours. Lyra's expression hardened. We don't want your empire. The alien looked confused. Then what do you want? The envoy stepped forward, his voice calm but full of weight. We want you to remember what happens when you invade our home. The alien lowered his eyes. And if we forget? The envoy stared into the camera. Then we return again. The connection ended. Outside the window, Earth turned slowly in the darkness and peaceful now. Surrounded by its guardians, Lyra whispered, Do you think the galaxy will fear us forever? The envoy smiled faintly. Not forever. Fear fades, but respect, that lasts. They stood side by side, watching the sunrise over their home world. The same sun that once burned them, now lighting their return. Across the galaxy, the stories spread like wildfire. Every race, every world, every empire learned the same truth: humanity doesn't vanish. Humanity rebuilds. And in the heart of the stars, the message of the new Earth echoed. We are the children of fire. You broke our world. We built the sky, and now we guard it. The stars above the galaxy were no longer quiet. Every world, every station, every colony was waiting, holding its breath, as a final storm gathered across the void. The broken remains of the Galactic Empire had regrouped. The last of their admirals, desperate and afraid, had sworn revenge. Thousands of alien ships, damaged but armed, surrounded the Sol system. Their message was clear. If we cannot rule the galaxy, then we will destroy it. But they didn't know what waited for them beyond the sun. Inside the Ark of Humanity, alarms echoed softly. Commander Lyra Hale stood in the central command ring, surrounded by glowing holomaps. Blue lines marked human fleets. Red lines marked the enemy. And there were too many of them. Her officers watched her silently, waiting for her command. She raised her head. Open all channels, she said. The communications officer nodded. Connected, ma'am. Every world can hear you. Lyra took a deep breath. Her voice carried across the stars, steady and calm. This is Commander Hale of Earth Command. We did not return to conquer. But if the Empire seeks to end us again, then this time the judgment is theirs. Billions listened. The galaxy watched. On the enemy flagship, the alien admiral sneered as he listened to the broadcast. They speak as if they are gods, he hissed. His second officer whispered, Sir, perhaps we should retreat. Retreat? The admiral spat. From ghosts? But when he looked through his viewing window, he froze. The darkness of space began to glow, one by one. Massive human ships emerged from the void, black hulls glistening with blue light, engines humming like thunder. They formed a wall between Earth and the invading armada. Then came it, a shadow so vast it covered the stars, the Ark of Humanity. It dwarfed everything, its surface layered with weapon arrays and shimmering shields. Its presence alone silenced every radio wave. The alien admiral whispered, "What is that thing?" His officer replied quietly, "A world that moves." Inside the Ark, Lyra's crew worked with perfect unity. "All sectors ready," reported the tactical officer. "Fleet Alpha, Beta, and Delta standing by." Lyra nodded. "Hold fire until my mark." She turned to the envoy, who stood beside her, hands folded behind his back. "They're afraid," she said. He nodded slowly. "Good. Fear keeps them still long enough to listen." The alien fleet began to advance. Beams of light shot across the void, slamming into Earth's outer defenses. Explosions flashed like falling stars. Lyra whispered, "Not again." The envoy placed a hand on her shoulder. "This time we stand ready." He turned toward the central console and activated a holographic transmission. His image appeared on every enemy bridge, every Imperial ship, every screen across the galaxy. "You call this revenge," he said calmly. "But this is judgment. You wanted to erase us. Instead, you awakened us. You taught us war. You taught us silence. You taught us what it means to lose everything. And now we teach you what it means to face humanity." Lyra raised her hand. "All units," she said, voice steady, "return fire." The void lit up like dawn. Human ships unleashed energy lances that tore through enemy shields like paper. The soundless space erupted in blinding light, waves of blue and white fire sweeping through the darkness. Alien ships broke formation, crashing into each other in panic. Fleets that once ruled 1,000 worlds now fled from a single one. The Ark of humanity turned slowly, its massive cannons glowing with the heat of a dying star. "Target the flagship," Lyra ordered. The main cannon fired, a beam of white light that stretched across space. It struck the alien flagship head-on. There was no explosion. Only silence, then dust. Inside the wreckage, one of the surviving alien captains sent a desperate transmission. "Why? Why didn't you just stay gone?" The human envoy answered calmly, his voice like thunder and sorrow mixed together. "Because we don't disappear, we endure. That's what being human means. You can burn our cities, you can bury our names, but you will never bury our spirit." The transmission ended and the captain's ship vanished into fire. Hours later, the stars grew quiet again. The war was over. The Empire was no more. The surviving alien world sent messages of surrender and peace. Some even asked for help rebuilding what the Empire had destroyed, and the human, instead of destroying them, sent aid. The envoy's voice echoed across every frequency once more. "Let this be the last war born of pride. The galaxy is wide enough for all of us, but never again shall anyone call Earth broken." Back on Earth, the skies were blue again. Children played under sunlight filtered through the orbital defense rings. The people of Earth looked up and saw peace, not fear. Commander Lyra Hale stood on the Ark's bridge, watching her planet from orbit. Her second officer approached. "It's done, ma'am. The galaxy knows who we are," Lyra smiled faintly. "Good. Now they'll think twice before they ever call us extinct." The envoy joined her, holding an old Earth flag, worn and burned, yet still shining faintly in the light. He raised it high. "We lost our home once," he said quietly. "But now we are the home. Humanity is everywhere." Lyra looked out toward the stars. "What happens now?" The envoy smiled. "Now we watch, and we remember." As the camera of the galaxy pulled back, the sight was breathtaking, Earth reborn, the Ark of humanity orbiting it like a guardian, and beyond, countless human colonies glowing like tiny sparks in the dark. The galaxy had changed forever. No one dared challenge Earth again. And somewhere in the void, the faint echo of a human voice whispered, "We were never gone. You invaded our home. Now our home guards the stars."